Okay, let's unpack this. So today we're shifting gears a bit, moving beyond just the myths, the stories we usually hear about ancient Egypt. This deep dive, it's really focused on the actual practice of faith, specifically reverence, sacred space, all around the god Anubis.
Right. We've got these sources that give us a glimpse not just about him, but how people's belief actually, changed things, how physical actions, physical places became these deep spiritual connections.
Exactly. And our goal isn't just recounting facts about Anubis, it's trying to get inside the experience of worship.
What did it feel like? How did you approach a god you believed was, well, the sources say presence everywhere.
Yeah, and yet you still build him a dedicated house. That's the hook, isn't it?
It is, that apparent contradiction.
What made a place truly holy to them? How did they square building a physical focus point when they also believed Anubis was omnipresent? We're looking at the deliberate steps they took.
Turning mere space into sacred space.
Let's start right there then. The foundation, the physical environment. Our sources bring up this concept, the house of the gods. And it's described very specifically, not just as a building, but as a place built for reverence. What does that framing tell us straight away?
Well, it tells us function dictated everything. The atmosphere, the form. It wasn't just, another structure. It was fundamentally different.
How so? Different how?
It was set apart. Think purity rituals, specific architectural choices, maybe even who could go inside. This separation is absolutely key. It kind of prepares the ground for the spiritual encounter.
Okay, so it's like creating a specific frequency. You're tuning the environment almost to better receive something that's already out there.
That's a great way to put it. And the sources back this up. They state, his spirit is with them.
Ah, okay.
So building the house isn't creating the presence, it's acknowledging it, affirming it. The reverence is built in because the deity is understood to already be there.
But then we get this lovely complexity. You have a sanctified space, this dedicated house, but also the idea that each place is holy.
Right, the omnipresence idea. If Anubis is everywhere, why pour all these resources, this immense effort, into one specific spot?
Yeah, well, why the big temple?
I think it connects the abstract, this universal idea of holiness, to something tangible, something a person can interact with directly.
Okay.
Think of it maybe like this. You have Wi-Fi everywhere in your house, right? The signal covers everything. But if you need a really stable, fast connection for something important, maybe a work call, you might go sit right next to the router.
Right, you want the strongest signal.
Exactly. You're not saying the Wi-Fi isn't elsewhere. You're just optimizing the connection for a specific important purpose. You're concentrating it.
So the House of the Gods wasn't about trapping Anubis inside walls.
No, not at all.
It was about preparing the worshiper, helping them focus, receive, interact with that presence in a more intense way.
That's it, precisely. It shifts the focus from the god being everywhere, which is maybe too big to grasp, to the worshiper being ready, being receptive for that encounter.
So for you listening, the key takeaway here is that the space itself was a container, but more like a focusing lens.
Intended to elevate the human state of mind, enabling that more immediate, more profound spiritual connection.
Okay, that naturally leads us from the place to what was in the place.
The focal point.
Right. Once you have this sanctified environment, you need something to direct that concentrated energy towards. And the sources point to the sculpted form, the images of Anubis.
These visual anchors. Essential, really.
Why essential? How do they fit into the bigger picture you mentioned?
Well, think about it. How do you, as a human being, approach something infinite? Something described as a presence everywhere. It's difficult, right?
Almost impossible on a practical level.
Exactly. The sculpted form, the statue, it becomes the tool. It makes the omnipresent feel accessible, maybe even personal. It's not replacing Anubis.
It's like a spiritual conduit.
Yeah, a specialized one. Making this vast unseen god feel graspable. Someone you can actually direct your prayers to.
And this need for a clear focus, it seems amplified by what Anubis did. His role. The sources state his is a central one. A central role. This wasn't some minor deity on the sidelines.
Absolutely not. His role was critical.
Why so critical? What was his job that demanded such focused reverence?
He's the god of transition, the guide through, let's face it, the terrifying unknown of death, the afterlife, judgment.
Okay, the big stuff.
The biggest stuff there is. And when you're facing that, you don't just want some vague, abstract sense of omnipresence floating around.
No, you want someone specific, a guide.
You want a trusted guide, visible right there. So the concentration of reverence, the special house, the specific form it reflects how crucial his job was in their whole belief system. It wasn't just important reverence, it was, you could say, existential reverence.
That makes perfect sense. The image becomes that doorway, almost. You believe that God is everywhere, but you need that physical statue to feel like you're having a direct conversation, especially when the stakes are, well, eternal.
And it provides reassurance, too, not just for the individual, but for the whole community. Seeing the form, the statue, it validates the whole system. It grounds the faith.
Makes it real.
Makes it feel real. When you see the embodiment of the God holding the keys to what comes next, it anchors everything.
So we have the place, we have the focus. Now let's get into the action, the dynamic part.
Ritual and communication.
Right. How did they actually do the worshiping? Our sources detail specific acts.
And what's striking is the directionality of it all. It wasn't vague spirituality, it was very targeted.
Totally. Take the offerings. The sources are specific. The offerings are for him, period. They knew exactly who they were giving them to.
No ambiguity there.
And the act of giving itself, it wasn't casual, it was defined. What does that tell us about their relationship with Anubis?
It points to a very personal, almost transactional relationship. Based on honor, maybe expectation too.
Transactional how?
Well, in offering food, drink, incense, whatever, it's a physical dedication. You're giving something tangible at the altar, directed at the god. It's deeply tied to the spiritual commitment. They weren't just, tossing gifts out vaguely.
They're dedicating sustenance, maybe hoping for spiritual well-being in return.
Pretty much. Ensuring the continuity of their own journey by honoring the guide, it's an investment. In a way.
And then there's the communication itself, the prayers. The sources mention whispered prayers are directed at him. Why whispered? What does that imply, that level of intimacy?
It suggests incredible trust, I think, and closeness.
In what way?
Well, imagine being in a public temple space. Maybe it's busy, maybe there's chanting, and you lean in and whisper your prayer.
Yeah.
It implies you're absolutely certain the deity is right there, close enough to hear your private words, your personal pleas, regardless of anything else happening.
It takes it out of the realm of public announcement.
Exactly. It's not a decree. It becomes personal, immediate, maybe even vulnerable consultation. It's like the ultimate expression of individual faith within that communal setting.
It also paints a picture of the time involved. You're not shouting and running. If you're whispering a prayer to the statue,
they're taking a moment, you're focusing.
You're dedicating attention, confirming that the whole setup, the sacred space, the form has worked. You're now in that heightened state of connection.
And that's why the ritual matters so much. The physical action reinforces the metaphysical belief. The whispering, the bowing, placing the offering just so.
None of it's random.
Not at all. It's all intentional, physical ways of saying, I believe you are here, you are listening, and I am showing you honor.
Okay, let's try and pull these threads together now. We've got the dedicated space, the central image, the focused rituals.
The whole system.
Right. And when all these elements come together, the sources say they form a symbol of faith. This is how they show their honor. It's the outward sign of that inner devotion.
And underpinning this entire intricate ecosystem of reverence is just this absolute rock-solid conviction, captured in that incredibly powerful, simple phrase from the sources, the power of belief. It is true.
Wow, just it is true.
Without that certainty, none of it makes sense, does it? The elaborate temples, the specific rituals, the costly offerings it would all be. Performance, maybe?
But because they held it as true, really true,
then it validates everything. Every stone laid in the temple, every whispered prayer, it confirms the permanence of their spiritual reality. This dedication, this whole system, it ensures the eternal reverence.
And confirms that his presence forever is tied to their lives, their journey, their end.
So what does this all mean for you, listening and trying to grasp this? The sources define reverence not as just, a feeling you might have.
It's more active than that.
Much more active. It's a deliberate, systematic fusion. You start with this core belief that God is everywhere. Then you make that belief workable, practical, through a sanctified space. You make it personal through a central image. And you maintain it through these directed, intimate rituals.
So the reverence itself is something they actively created and maintained, not just passively felt.
Precisely. It's a constructed reality built on unwavering faith.
So this dive, I think we successfully mapped out those components. from building the house of the gods all the way to that fundamental conviction, the power of belief.
Yeah, we saw how they used defined space, focused imagery, and specific actions to interact with the god they already believed was universal.
It really shows that while the spiritual might be seen as everywhere,
human devotion often seems to need boundaries, specific objects, dedicated time, to reach its most focused, maybe its highest quality.
which brings us right back to that paradox we started with, and a final thought for you to maybe mull over. We explored how Anubis' spirit was considered eternal, his presence everywhere. So given that absolute belief, how did building the dedicated house of the gods actually change the quality of the reverence they felt or expressed? If holiness was already baked into the universe.
What did the temple add?
Exactly. Was the goal not just connection, but a perfected connection? Concentrated, maybe more.
Human scale.
Something different from just knowing he was out there.
It's like the difference between knowing a library exists versus going inside and sitting down to study one specific book.
Like a great analogy, something to think about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep exploring those places where the physical and the spiritual intersect.